Mr. Sergeant of Arms, invite the members into the chamber, closed doors. I hereby declare the House of Representatives of the 114th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee now in session. Will the members please stand? With the visitors in the gallery please stand and remain standing through the Pledge of Allegiance. Representative White will serve as chaplain of the day. Representative White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members. Often, I love history. I don't know how about everybody loves to read about history. And I often think when I read books back in the 1800s, or I was watching a movie the other day on the Vikings back in the 700s and 800s, I'm going, why didn't I live then? Why am I living right now? And why are we each living right now? And it reminds me of Psalms 139. I love this verse. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, and I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born, and every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. And we have such a beautiful life if we're obedient to what God created us to be. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I am so grateful that we have the opportunity as members of this General Assembly to come together from all parts of Tennessee, not only to serve the citizens, but to serve you. You are our God, you are our Creator, and we owe you everything. Watch us this session as we go forward. Help us to be considerate to each other, listen to each other, but mainly to do your will. Thank you for this day and for the honor to be here. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Representative White will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Clerk, please take the roll.
Roll call.
Ms. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Speaker, 88 members present.
Let the journal reflect Representatives Rudd, Terry, Scarborough, and Grills are excused. Next door, Ms. Clerk.
Welcoming, honoring, and announcements.
Welcome, honor, announcements. Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to recognize one of my constituents up in the gallery with us today, Clint Connor, that's here with the Auctioneer Association. If you would, Clint, representing the association today, just welcome him to the gallery. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clear Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members, I'd like to take a moment and recognize my two interns this year. Tania Humphreys is a senior political science major from MTSU. There they are. And Susie Benjen is a senior from Belmont, but also a political science major. Make them feel welcome. Also, Mr. Speaker, I want to honor a civil rights leader whose birthday we're celebrating today. Today is Rosa Parks' birthday, so I'd like to give honor to her and all of her hard work in the civil rights movement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Langford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Montgomery County delegation, we'd like to welcome Leadership Clarksville on the Hill today. They're currently stuck in traffic. We'll be here. But part of that group is my mother, who's up in the gallery, and I'd like to recognize her this morning. Thank you.
Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Speaker. In our community, and I mentioned this in committee, we lost one of the matriarchs of Boxtown in Memphis, Mama Eartha Collier. She was a consistent supporter. She always was in our community serving and finding ways to be of use to the folks in Westwood and Boxtown. And she transitioned from this life to life eternal. And I just want to let her granddaughter, who I went to school with, Alexis, and her mom, who's like an aunt to me, Lola Collier, know that we are praying for them and thinking of them. And I just ask that you keep Mama Collier in your mind and in your hearts as we prepare for her celebration of life. And just thankful for her service to our district and our state. Amen.
Representative Lafferty. Carringer, I guess. It's looking like it's Carringer. Representative Lafferty at Representative Carringer's desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, just wanted to bring attention to our favorite birthday girl today, Miss Michelle Carringer. Wish her a happy birthday, please. Thank you, Speaker.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today is HBCU Day at the state capitol. We have 7 historically black colleges in our state. And of course, I have with me Representative Sam McKenzie, who's a board member at Fisk University. So we want to make sure that when they get over here, please go by and say hello to them as they are going to be in the Cordell Hull building. Again, we celebrate the 7 that we have in the state: Knoxville College, Fisk University, Meharry Medical College, Lemoyne Owen, Lane College, Tennessee State University. I think that is all, and Meharry Medical College. And so we have great members who have graduated from them also. We got Joe Towns, we got Larry Miller also. So again, members, this is HBCU Day and Jason Powell, and I've got Susan Lynn also. So members all across, it's a bipartisan effort. Thank you so very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Do I see? Do not. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Introduction to resolutions.
Leader Lambert, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move that all resolutions properly filed be introduced pursuant to Order Number 17 and placed on the consent calendar, refer to the appropriate standing committee.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Joint Resolutions congratulatory and memorializing.
Leader Lambert, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move that all Senate joint resolutions congratulatory and memorializing line that has to be placed on the consent calendar pursuant to Order Number 17.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Resolutions lying over.
Leader Lambert, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move that all resolutions lying over be referred to the appropriate standing committee.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Introduction to bills.
Leader Lambert, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move that House Bills 2088 through 2623 be introduced and passed on first consideration.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Senate bills on first consideration.
Leader Lambert, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bills 795, 1,498, 1,500, 1,501, 1,503, 1,504, 1,505, 1,506, 1,507, 1,509, 1,510, 1,514, 1,517, 1,522, 1,526, 1,532, 1,536, 1,540, 1,549, 1,550, 1,552, 1,582, transmitted by the Senate, be held on the desk passing pending third consideration of their companion House bills.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Senate bills on second consideration. House bills on second consideration.
Leader Lambert, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move that House Bills 1,884 through 2,087 be passed on second consideration, be held on the desk, or referred to the appropriate standing committee.
Without objection, so ordered. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Petitions and memorials, reports from standing committees, reports from select committees, calendars. Mr. Speaker, the House has a consent calendar.
Chair Lady Moody, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of the consent calendar on third and final consideration in keeping with Rule 50.
Chair Lady moves passage of the consent calendar, probably seconded. Mr. Clerk, any objections have been filed?
Mr. Speaker, item 4, House Joint Resolution 810 has been objected to by Chairman Clemens. Item 5, House Joint Resolution 811 has been objected to by Chairman Clemens. Item 34, HJR 840 has been objected to by Leader Lamberth. Item 35, House Joint Resolution 842 has been objected to by Leader Lamberth. Item 38, HJR 845 has been objected to by Chairman Clemens. And item 40, HJR 848 has been objected to by Chairman Clemens.
Very nice. Let the journal also reflect Representative Faison's excuse. Anyone seeking recognition on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we're voting. All those in favor of the consent calendar, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. As every member voted, the same member would change their vote. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 70, 18 nays, 1 present, not voting.
Having received a constitutional majority, I declare the consent calendar passed without objection and most reconsider stable. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the House has a regular calendar.
Call the first bill, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Bill 16 by Chairman Sapigi relative to interscholastic athletics, Mr. Speaker, was previously considered and reset for today's regular calendar.
Chairman Spicky, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of Senate Bill 16 on third and final consideration.
Chairman Spicky moves passage of Senate Bill 16 on third and final consideration. By second, Mr. Clerk, call the first amendment.
Mr. Speaker, we have House Amendment 3 with Chairman Speaking. Mr. Speaker, was timely filed.
Chairman Spicky, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of amendment number 3.
Chairman Spicky moves adoption of House Amendment number 3. By second, any discussion on the amendment? Chairman Clemens.
Can we get an explanation of Amendment 3, please?
Chairman Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is our TSSAA bill. Over the summer, I have had myself and Senator Lowe and Senator Watson multiple conversations with TSSAA working on this piece of legislation. Over the summer, TSSAA pulled their membership on one-time transfer, and it came back that over 60% of their members now do support a one-time transfer in high school. Mr. Reeves from TSSAA sent me this email confirming that, and so over the summer they worked on a fix for this for TSSAA, and this amendment that we're considering today comes from TSSAA. I want to say that first of all, and I want to say thank you for them for working with us. And here's what the new bill, our amendment does. It allows a student in grades 6 through 8 and in grades 9 through 12 to be immediately eligible to play interscholastic athletics after transferring schools, only if the transfer occurs during the summer between the school years and is the student's first transfer within that grade span. It specifies that such immediate eligibility does not apply to transfers during the school year or to any second or subsequent transfer within the same grade span. It retains all the other standards governing eligibility standards and clarifies a student cannot be ruled ineligible solely because of this qualifying summer transfer. It also requires any court challenge to an eligibility decision made by an association that regulates interscholastic athletic competition to be filed in the county where the association's principal office is located. It clarifies that the proposed legislation does not create a private right of action against an association that establishes the rules for interscholastic athletic competition. That's what the amendment does as provided by TSSAA.
Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So on the amendment, I just want to make sure, I know there had been a previous adopted amendment that required significant academic, social, emotional, environmental, or mental health reasons for these transfers. Are those off the table? And this is specifically for any reason whatsoever? Or what are parameters?
A student can one-time transfer for any reason whatsoever, as long as they are not trying to avoid academic or disciplinary actions of the school. If they try to avoid disciplinary or academic or you got me.
Chairman Clemens.
So as long as there is not a pending formal action, if that child has grade issues, has qualification issues, but no formal, I don't know the right word, charge isn't the right word, but action, they can still transfer.
Chairman speaking.
As long as they have not been deemed ineligible.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have questions on the bill. Thank you.
What the amendment is the bill? You got a minute and a half. Chairman Clemens.
Well, I thought we had to adopt the amendment first.
We do, but
and then we
you
had
still have a
discussion
minute
on
and
the
a half.
bill.
If you want to give up a minute. and a
Okay,
half, we're fine.
well, my concern here is this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A few years ago, we passed a controversial piece of legislation in this floor that delved into the business of the TSSAA. One of the main reasons I voted against that legislation is because this body we've got to be very careful about stepping over into business that's already being handled by associations that are formed with knowledgeable people with the appropriate experience to handle those issues. TSSAA has been handling these issues for decades. They've been handling them well for the most part, I would argue. And now we're saying we have their endorsement of this. I don't know if it's because a cloud's looming over them, the threatened action and the weight of this body is acting as a hammer to incentivize them to endorse this. I haven't heard from them. So my concern is, and I would like to caution us from this body stepping over into the affairs of associations that are created specifically for this purpose. Now, if they endorse it, fine. For whatever purpose, I don't know. But I do want to continue to caution this body. We are not high school sports experts. So let's be very careful whether you support this or not. We've got to limit our actions in this regard. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the sponsor, thank you for carrying this. We talked about this last year, and I think this is a step in the right direction of parental rights, because unfortunately we do have boards and committees and so forth from time to time that assume that God has given them more authority over the child than the parent. And I think you've taken a good measured way at correcting that. So I appreciate you standing up for parental rights in this and for the athlete. As someone who had 2 high school athletes that were affected by some of these silly TSSAA decrees, I appreciate you taking it on. And just ask one question of you. The social emotional part, that wording concerns me a little bit because it kind of gets into that left-leaning view. Can you explain why you use that language in the amendment?
Chairman Sapiki.
One of the things we tried to do in the original iteration of this bill that we discussed last year, it had caveats in there of reasons why a student could invoke a transfer, a one-time transfer. That got very cumbersome with our schools of trying to figure out what was valid and what wasn't. And it put the principals and the superintendents in a very bad situation of saying, well, it may not be for that. And they would have to write a letter to TSSAA denying that transfer. And so what the school said is, we understand that the landscape of sports has changed. These athletes should have the ability to transfer to another school for any reason they want, as long as they're not trying to avoid an academic or a disciplinary action on them.
Representative Hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And sponsor, I just want to take a minute to express and say thank you for working on this while we were out of session. Members, I opposed this legislation through committees. As somebody who dealt with TSSAA for over 15 years coaching high school sports, I do have my concerns with what TSSAA, some of the things that are going on that I'm hearing. But as this came through, I was very uncomfortable with the posture that it was in and the complications that it may cause. But I also want to thank TSSAA for listening to their body and their members and coming to you with a solution to my concerns through the committee process. I think it's in good shape right now, and I'm very comfortable with it. I think it's good for students. I think it's good for parents. Also think it's good for TSSAA. I have some concerns, and the member expressed it earlier about overstepping our bounds, but I also think we have a responsibility to get involved and to give parents and students and keep them at the forefront. And I thank you for this, and I thank TSSAA for putting them at the forefront also. So I'm glad to support this legislation. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Chairman Spicky.
Thank you. And just to expand on the amendment, it's rather lengthy. The first part has to do with one-time transfers. Everything else in the bill is already in TCA code. Legal just wants to put it under a new heading of TSSAA so it's easy to find. So everything after the one-time transfer information is already law in the state of Tennessee.
Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And like the others, I truly appreciate you being a person of your word and digging in deep with TSSAA and hammering through this. I'm hoping that this is it and not the first of many changes, because I would hate for us to end up the way college is currently. And I think if we keep tweaking this and giving, I don't know, rights. I didn't know the left owned emotions, but that's another thing. If we keep tweaking this, I think we end up in a situation that we don't. But thank you for bringing this and this kind of coming together on something that really needed to happen, but it's extremely limited. My question is, when we say one time, just to be clear, it's one time in perpetuity. So somebody in the second grade, they'll get one time in middle school and one time in high school. Is it only for existing folks?
Chairman speaking.
As you matriculate in basically the grade band of 6 through 12, you get one-time transfer.
All right, thank you. So that's my question. So it's not just for the number that exists now. The kids will have this. So again, thank you for bringing the legislation.
Chairman White.
We're still on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I just want to add my voice of support for what Chairman Sapiki has before us. I think we spent more time on this bill in the Education Committee last session than any other bill we had. I know at least 6-7 hours we talked about this. I want to commend the chairman. He held it on the floor last session. They worked it out this summer. So thank you for working this out and working with TWSAA.
Representative Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And that last statement is what's really scary, folks. Yeah, Chairman of Education just said we spent more time on a bill dealing with high school recruitment and schools seeing what athletics they can build a dynasty with more than we did education itself. That's scary. All this is college football is ruined. College athletics is ruined. Now we're going to see if we can't make high school athletics a business as well. And this is the first step.
Chairman Spiggy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I hope, in my opinion, the NCAA looks at this piece of legislation and puts the guardrails in college football and college sports that we're doing right here. We are admitting that, yeah, it is okay for a student that maybe chooses poorly and wants to get a better opportunity somewhere else. That's fine. This is to hopefully prevent what the NCAA has become and some of our neighboring states, where in some neighboring states in high school football, it is so wide open right now that a kid can play on one Friday for a team. They get eliminated in the playoffs, and the next week they're playing for their arch rival. That is not what we need in sports. But a one-time exception, I think, does what we're trying to do.
Representative Mitchell.
I just remember, back in high school, looking at, we played a team from Williamson County, private school, and you'd look on their roster back in the day, and I remember seeing they had kids from 7 different states on a high school football team. TSSAA stopped that. There was a major lawsuit over it. TSSAA won, and that school couldn't do that anymore. And they stopped winning state championships year after year. Well, this is going to open it right back up for those big private schools. They're just going to come into your small towns, and they're going to grab your best athletes, and they're going to drag them off to a private school. And, all we're doing is destroying small town athletics. And it's going to be for these big powerhouse schools so they can win state championships. If that's what you want to do in your small town, send your best athletes off to a private school in the 4 major cities, hey, vote for this. But that's what you're doing.
Chairman Spicky.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the governing rules of TSSAA still apply to recruiting. There are high schools and high school coaches that are sanctioned by TSSAA all the time because they get complaints on recruiting. What the member just said is under the purview of TSSAA. So if you believe that your athletes are being openly recruited by another high school, there is a mechanism for you to report them to TSSAA, and they will take action on them.
Representative Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with some of the comments made by my colleague from Davidson County about these associations should sort of be able to create their own rules, and I hate that we're getting into the business of this. With that being said, I've had an issue with the TSSAA in such that some of the different schools in my community, because of their population enrollment, they're actually in the top, one of the top divisions. The problem is that for those students, football, for example, is not a very, there are not like students that go out for the football team. The soccer team, they have a lot more students that try out and go out for the soccer team. So the problem is the football team then has to compete based on their enrollment against these other schools where they have massive teams and I've been to the games and the kids are out there trying their best, But it's still very unfair, and it actually can put some of those kids at risk just because they don't have enough players. They got to play both sides, and it's a very difficult situation. And so I've raised this concern to different people and here in my city, and also pass that information along to the TSSAA. So I hope they're listening, and I hope they'll look at some of those concerns because, I do know TSSAA doesn't always listen to the interests of and concerns of some of our schools. And, I think I appreciate you at least working on a compromise and hearing from TSSAA while I still have some concerns with the bill. Just did want to say that. Thank you.
Chairman speaking, anything? No, sir. Representative Hardaway. Do you want to be? There we go.
Thank you, Speaker Sexton. Just want to make sure that I'm following everything. The bill speaks to the one-time exemption as opposed to how many times or any other matters. Is that correct?
Chairman speaking.
Are you asking me that, does this allow a one-time transfer, but if there's another transfer after that, then the normal policies of TSSAA come into play?
Right.
That's the answer.
Representative Hardaway.
All right. Thank you.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the sponsor and to the members, I actually want to stand up to talk about the athlete, and I think that's who we should be keeping at the forefront of this. It's been painted in here that the athletes are being utilized using the system, and it's been painted that college NCAA athletics is a mess and this, that, and other. But the whole time when universities like the University of Tennessee was making $800 million in 1 year on the back of athletes, finally these athletes get an opportunity to get a piece of the pie. Same thing in high school sports. I think that we should keep the athletes first, and the athletes who make the system should be the ones that benefit from the system, just as all of these other institutions benefit from this system, these systems. Long before, when I started running NIL back in 2013, we knew that the UT football system made $100 million in that year, $100 million in that year. At the same time, an athlete would have been sanctioned and punished, possibly removed from the team if they got a $10 gift for a sandwich. So I think that we should keep these athletes at the forefront, allow them to move as they see fit so that they can benefit as everyone else is benefiting. Now, I think honestly, I'm gonna vote for your bill, but I think your bill is a little too restrictive. I think it should be like the NCAA to allow these athletes to move for their benefit. And so I will be supporting the bill. Maybe I'll come next year, make it like NIL. Thank you, sir.
Representative Glenn, did I see your hand up earlier? No? Yes. All right. Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the sponsor and to everyone here. I believe in everything that's being said. It is true. I am a baseball umpire. So parents do have a choice. They have choice words for me all the time behind the plate. So I understand parent choice, right? So, but I will tell you, I am going to vote for the bill, right? I do believe in that. However, I will say this. I do believe this is a slippery slope. I do think that somehow, as students make decisions to switch schools, you're going to end up having powerhouses throughout the state because that one-time transfer will matter. And the reason why you mentioned that if a school believes that a coach is recruiting, they have that option to say something. The problem is the school will not say anything because they don't want the legal action to go with it. So they would choose to just let it be because they don't want to deal with the legal aspect of it. So I think this bill does come in with a slippery slope. Again, I will support it, but I do think there will there possibly could be some things that come out of it that we may regret in the long run. I mean, Halls, Tennessee gonna always be the greatest team ever played, but that's another story.
All right, Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move previous question.
Previous question's been called on the amendment. Does anybody have objection to the previous question on the amendment? All right, well, you got to come forward, sir, member. Mr. Clark.
Mr. Speaker, the question was about substantive amendments on the floor that did not go through the committee process. There is no rule that precludes someone or this body from adopting a substantive amendment that did not go through the committee process. It is up to this body as to how the amendment is to be treated.
Very good. All right, the question's been called. I did not see objection. We're voting on the amendment on the board. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 3, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 82, 11 nays.
Amendment number 3 is adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Chairman Spicki, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, we asked that a parliamentary inquiry for the reason that oftentimes we introduce substantive amendments on this House floor, and the argument against them is often it didn't go through the committee process. It's a substantive amendment. And so I just want to make sure, I know the rules don't disallow it, but if we're setting precedent here, and this is going to be the pattern of conduct of this body to allow substantive amendments that make an entire bill to be adopted on this floor, then let's be consistent across the board. That's my request. This is early in the session, so I look forward to continuing this precedent as we move forward, if that's going to be the way we operate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Zabicki, he's already renewed his motion. We're on discussion of the bill. Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I think there is a long tradition on this floor to take any amendment forward that is meritorious and would improve a bill so that Tennessee's best days are still tomorrow. So any amendment that comes forward that's a good one, I'm sure we'll consider it. Thank you.
Chairman Spicki. No. Representative Boyd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And sponsor, as you remember, last year we talked about this, and although I've always been supportive of a one-time transfer rule, I wanted the TSSAA to do it, and I felt like we didn't need to come behind them and pour it in concrete. But as we have been talking about this, I have reached out to a constituent of mine that was the athletic director at a public school, and he now works at the TSSAA, and he has told me that this bill is solid, it's important, and he's very supportive and wants us to vote for this. I want you to know I'm very supportive of your bill now. Thank you.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move previous question.
Previous question been called. Is there objection? Seeing none, we are voting. All those in favor of Senate Bill 16 as amended. Vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member cast their vote? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Ayes 83, 10 nays.
Senate Bill 16 having received a constitutional majority, everybody declare pass without objection. The motion reconsider is tabled. Call up next bill, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 1250 by Representative Mayberry and others relative to school chaplains. Mr. Speaker, it's previously considered and reset for today's regular calendar.
Representative Mayberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage of House Bill 1250 on third and final consideration.
Representative Mayberry moves passage following second. Mr. Clerk, call First Amendment.
House Education Committee Amendment number 1.
Chairman White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this amendment corrects a grammatical error in section 1, so I move to adopt.
Chairman White moves adoption of amendment number 1, probably seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting amendment number 1 say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. You adopted. Next amendment, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, no further amendments.
Representative Mayberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1250 allows local school boards and charter schools to employ or accept volunteer chaplains to provide campus support. I renew my motion.
Representative Mayberry renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sponsor, did these individuals have to have background checks before they enter the schools to work with children?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes.
Chairman Clemens.
It's the same process that a teacher or someone else who's providing counseling services would go through in the school system.
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So they'll be coming on as if they were employed. So yes, they go through the same background checks as a teacher or as a volunteer coming in.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And that includes a criminal background check?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes.
Chairman Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very nice. Representative Hemmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Sponsor, will parents be able to opt into these counseling services?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's primarily for support for teachers, but if a student wanted to receive services from the chaplain, then yes, the parent would have to opt them into being able to interact with them.
Thank you.
Representative Hemmer. Thank you. Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the bill. Appreciate what you're trying to accomplish with this. Article 1, Section 3 of the Tennessee Constitution says all men have a natural and indefeasible right to worship Almighty God by the dictates of their own conscience. I support that. I know you do too. Does this bill do anything to allow chaplaincy of those who might be counter to the American exceptionalism and to our Christian foundation views to being volunteers in the schools?
Representative Mayberry.
So the bill, in order to become a chaplain, you are going to go through, you're going to be recognized as from a religious credentialed organization. That's how you qualify to do that. Then this gives it local control at the school board level. So they could then go forth and create more policies, I guess, if they'd like. So we won't put this at local control, but it's at that point at the school board level.
Representative Fritz.
Thank you again for what you're doing. I'll ask a more direct question. Would this allow Muslim chaplains in schools?
Representative Mayberry.
So under this legislation, the local school board, and this is how the bill works, the local school board will decide who sets the qualifications. They'll provide oversight. They'll determine where it is appropriate for their community. Chaplains must be credentialed by legitimate religious organizations, pass full background checks, and agree to follow district policies and standards of conduct. This is not an open door policy for anybody just to come through. It's a structured, local controlled process that provides safeguards in place. And in every state that's adopted similar legislation, school boards have selected chaplains that reflect the values of their community.
Representative Fritz.
One last question. Thank you so much. I do appreciate what you're trying to do. I have concerns that might take us past what Article 1, Section 3 of the Tennessee Constitution offers. So I don't know that I can support it, but I do appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sponsor, let me ask you this question about the requirements for chaplains when it comes to restrictions maybe on converting persons to their particular religion. That is not allowed, correct?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this is not a position to proselytize your faith. It's there to bring support for our staff and our students who get opted in by their parents.
Representative Love.
And all faiths open to apply and the school board to make a decision about that.
Representative Mayberry.
So again, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So again, local school boards are going to have the set qualifications. They provide the oversight. They have to be a religious credentialed organization in order to be considered. And their courts are going to have to go through their background checks and all that. But that's the standards which they have to go through.
Thank you.
Representative
Thank you,
Love.
Speaker.
Oh,
Thank you, Speaker.
thank you. All right, Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is that we keep saying that the LEAs have the authority to determine what organization does that, and I don't hear, and maybe it's just me, but I don't hear the actual requirements that they will be judged upon, because it seems like they could approve this one and not this one, and if there aren't any really criterion as far as how do you, it seems very subjective about how a chaplain can be approved to do this. So who's going to come up with these rules? Is it going to be the LEA, or is it going to be, are we going to set some rules in this bill?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So it says here in the bill's language, I'll just read it. It says, as used in this section, school chaplain means a member of the clergy who is credentialed by a religious organization. So that is the standard which they're going to go forth, and then they'll create, the school board, local school board will create policies if they see fit beyond that.
Representative Dixie.
Thank you.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Sponsor, I don't know if I meant to ask this in committee or not, I don't remember, but can there be more than one assigned to a school?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One moment. I believe the way the bill language is written is it refers to it as a singular, so per school, one per school. It doesn't have it as a plural.
Representative Parkinson.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you were saying. Thank you, sir. It's the $1 million audio system that's not operating properly.
AI, I'm telling you, is a problem. Representative Mayberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe the way the language is reading is it's in not a plural, so it's a chaplain but it's per school, so it's not like one for a school district, per school, a chaplain for that school. Again, approved by the school board. So a school board could also opt not to even do this program as well.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and Mr. Sponsor. And just for the record, this chaplain can be a Christian chaplain. This chaplain can be a Muslim chaplain, a Buddhist chaplain, any of the religions. Am I correct?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So again, under this legislation, the qualifications are set to provide oversight down to the appropriate community to reflect their values. So they'll make a lot of those decisions. But as I stated before, you have to be credentialed by a legitimate religious organization in order to be considered from the beginning.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I voted for this bill in committee. I'm going to vote for the bill again. I do see where we might be vulnerable in some spaces when it comes to if you have Christians students that have access to a Christian chaplain and Muslim students that don't have access to a chaplain and that may want one. And so, I think, a simple language fix could be that there could be more than one chaplain in one school. And another, I think, improvement on this bill that it could be one per grade or, so on and so forth. But, we may want to open this up to allow for everyone to be represented that wants to be represented, under this legislation. And, Ties for Turns is coming up tomorrow.
That's definitely out of order. Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah, but Mr. Sponsor, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Sponsor, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I think it just opens up too many things that could and will go wrong in this. I I just Googled back here, get ordained today. You know, there's pages and pages where people can get ordained today. And, you know, we're going to get people in our schools, you know, and the counselors in our schools, they need help. We need to put the funding to put more counselors in the schools instead of, you know, begging the community to, you know, get out there and try to help us out. But, you know, you got a lawsuit that was settled out of Memphis, Tennessee, the Church of the Satanic Temple. Mr. Sponsor, you hearing me?
Representative Mitchell, your time's gone.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But he's having a secondary conversation instead of. Could you stop my time while he's having his sidebar?
No, because it's your time. You can keep going.
Well, you know, then don't call me out of order when I say what I need to say to him, because he needs to
Well,
pay
it depends
attention.
on what you say, and you can't tell me not to rule you out of order. So
Well-
that's my decision. So you're more than welcome to
Hey,
continue.
Mr. Sponsor,
You're
Mr.
more-
Sponsor, why don't you
more
pay
welcome to
attention?
continue.
You're at the a little respect. Or you're looking for a new school board member right now.
No.
This is amazing.
Well, I mean,
Are
is there
you
a
done? Are
question you're wanting to asking Representative Mitchell?
Highly disrespectful. But I was talking about a federal lawsuit out of Memphis, Tennessee. It was the Church of the Satanic Temple. You know, there's no way with this legislation passing that someone can come into our school system and apply and they can't be denied. So you're opening that door. Just know what the door you're opening, because it's not going to be all the white Christian nationalist preachers you want in there. So I'm just letting you know what's going to happen, and it's going to happen.
All right. Representative Martin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And sponsor, thank you for the bill. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I have a question for you. And when you say in the bill here that the clergy is a credentialed of a religious organization, can you tell me what you mean by credentialed? Credentialed by whom?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an established faith-based organization processes for ordaining, endorsing, or licensing clergy. It's verified just like hospitals, military currently, or any public institution. That's happening right now all across the nation. And again, this is a local common sense review process that is, you know, set forth all over.
Representative Martin.
So a website, I know people who've gone to a website to become clergy in order to marry their best friends in a ceremony. They are considered clergy. Would someone who gets that type of credentials, would they be qualified under this law? Because it says clergy that is by credentialed.
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, it's for an established faith-based organization and process ordaining, licensing. That's a established organization. A website like that would not qualify underneath these terms.
Representative Martin.
So who establishes that this organization is a legitimate organization? If I want to go out with 3 or 4 of my friends and start a home Bible study or some other type of religious study, I don't necessarily need a denomination or an organization as a free American citizen to be able to say that this is our faith, and I don't need the blessing of the governor, the president, the speaker, the denomination, or anyone else. And I want to know, would I be excluded in that situation because I'm not credentialed by what you're considering to be traditional? Who's doing the credentialing is my question.
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the questions. Again, the bill says a member of the clergy who is credentialed by a religious organization. The goal is to be a national organization. I am a pastor. I honestly have many friends that are not necessarily ordained. But in order for the chaplain program here in our public schools, you're going to have to be recognized by a national organization.
Representative Martin.
Can you tell us who those national organizations are? And if you're saying a national organization, does that mean that 100 people that meet down the street and that have founded a church that has no national organization, but they are exercising their free religion and their right to worship, are they excluded then if they have to be recognized by a national organization? And who's doing the recognizing? I don't recall a registry in America of who is accepted as a national recognized group and who's not. You understand what I'm saying?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the questions. So I am credentialed. As many of you guys know, I'm a credentialed minister, a pastor. So there was a set of standards I had to go through to get that process. There's, again, not a national database, as you said, but the local school board, we're putting the powers into their hands to make sure that they are overseeing what they're considering to be in these credentials. But the intent is to be somebody that is recognized from an established religious organization.
Representative Martin.
Mr. Speaker, I have a real problem with the word established religious organization. I have a real problem with that because my faith teaches me that it's a relationship with the Lord God, regardless of whether it's recognized by anybody else on this earth. And yet I would be precluded because of that. My final question to you is this. Other states you say this has been done in. So let's say that a school, some middle school hires some Baptist pastor or ordained person to come be the chaplain. And then another person of another faith wants to come be the chaplain. Can you speak about the conflict of that and the litigation that perhaps has happened as a result of that? And thank you. I appreciate.
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate all the questions. In order to connect with some of you guys to answer some of these, I'm going to roll this bill 1 week.
Without objection, roll 1 week. Next bill, Mr. Clark.
That completes the regular calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Next order, Mr. Clark.
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business. Chairman Howe, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to withdraw House Bill 1749 from the committee in the House.
We're sure, Leader. We got it. We're sure. You've heard the motion. Any objections? Without objections, so ordered. Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that HJR 840 and HJR 842 be referred to the Criminal Justice Subcommittee.
Proper motion, probably seconded. There's objection. I got it. We got it. All right, we have an objection. All right, members, we are voting on the motion, which is to send House Joint Resolutions 840 and House Joint Resolution 842 to the Criminal Subcommittee. All those in favor, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Aye, 70, 24 nays.
Motion prevails. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Scheduling and procedural announcements.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the Criminal Justice Subcommittee and the Commerce Committee that was to meet at 9 will meet 15 minutes after recess. So that's Commerce and Criminal, 15 minutes after we recess today. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. in room 2, at 10 a.m., the Rules Committee will meet to hear a petition from Representative Towns.
Mr. Clerk, another announcement.
Mr. Speaker, clarification. Commerce will be at 10 a.m. Commerce will be at 10 a.m.
All right. Next order, Mr. Clerk.
Roll call.
Roll call. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Speaker, 94 members present.
Next order, Mr. Clerk.
That completes the regular order, Mr. Speaker.
Leader Cochran, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move the House stand in recess until 9 a.m. on Thursday, February 5th, 2026.
Without objection, the House stands recess till 9 a.m. on Thursday, February 5th, 2026.